Thanks for tuning in the channel and having a look. Today we're continuing that Iraqi Army Infantry conscript build from the mid to late 80s and early 90s up to the first Gulf War, the 1990-91 Gulf War. And today we're just going to try and do 4 colours, hopefully get there. The first colour I'm going to do is some of their webbing and their satchel pouches and stuff. I'm using a 5-0 brush for that. And the colour I'll use is khaki. Mine is just about had it, the label. And just give your paints a good shake, and I'll just get a little bit of that khaki on the palette. And then I'll pick up one of the bases and have a look. And all I'm going to look around, just turn them around and have a look. And so anything like this guy's belt there, I'll just paint it that khaki colour. Or this guy, he's got that little satchel bag. Try and get it in focus. A little satchel bag there on him. So just going around painting that sort of stuff. So actually, the Iraqi infantry had pretty poor equipment, like webbing and modern sort of what we might see today on soldiers. They had really poor equipment, so there's not heaps to it. There was never heaps of colour on it. Some of their special forces units might have had camouflage uniforms and specialist equipment, but for the most part they're pretty basic. So I'm just getting a little bit of that colour onto them. And I'm no pro painter as well, so the idea of what I do on the channel is to get stuff painted just to a basic level so you could war game with it with a bit of colour on it. So I'm probably not going to win any awards using my paint techniques, but it's that gaming, getting some colour onto models so you can game with them sort of idea. So yeah, just work my way around, get a bit of colour on them anywhere. I think that they've got bags and satchels and stuff like that. So work my way around and put him back up there, and then same with this RPG team. Any belts or personal gear. And we'll put a wash over them at the end, so if you do make a few little mistakes, we can sort of cover that up. I guess the key thing is don't rush, take your time. Sorry, it's a bit out of focus. Yeah, so just try and get a little bit of that colour onto each soldier, each individual soldier. Then once I got that done, I'll rinse out that brush, that 5-0 brush. And the next colour I'm going to use is Tan Earth, and I'm going to use that for the helmets. So I just give it a good shake, get a little bit out on the palette. The Iraqi Army had a few different colours for helmets. I'm just using, you got to pick a colour, so I picked this one, and then I'll just brush that over the helmets. I don't mind if it's a little bit rough on the helmets because they'd be scratched up and damaged. A lot of the conscript gear used by the Iraqi Army had been in the Iraq-Iran war, so a lot of it was damaged, faded. Helmets seem to just get damaged, so give them a bit of colour. If you check out the previous video, you'll see we just did that green that on the uniforms. So even though the Iraqi army is fighting in the desert, a lot of their uniforms were made by a cheap manufacturer in the 80s, and cheap green uniforms. But yeah, like I said, they did have a few different colours. Anyway, talk too much. More helmets. Yep. Starting to bore everyone with helmet colour, but and I did change brushes. I'm now using a 0 brush. Sorry, forgot to mention that. So I get that done, I'll rinse out that brush. I'm going to finish with that 0 brush. I only use it just for the helmets, and that brush is starting to look a bit old and daggy. Now the next colour I'm going to use is gunmetal grey, and gunmetal grey I'll just put on the AKs before we paint any of the wood sort of areas of the AKs, wooden areas of it. So I'll just grab one of these stands, and it's the same for all of them. I'll just go across, get that metal look happening on the AKs. Doesn't matter if there's still a little bit of black showing through, that's cool. And there's a few different colours people use for AKs. I'm sure there's people out there shaking their head going, gunmetal grey. But once weapons wear down, colour wears off of them. So I'm just going for that worn look. Same as the RPG teams, I'll just give it a coat of grey, and then, I mean, they have big wooden sections on them, so we'll paint that after. And plus the actual rocket on the end is going to be a different colour. So I'll continue that across all the models, and get the idea, get all that grey on. I'll rinse that brush out. There's still a couple of stands that need to paint that, but because of the time restraint, we'll stop there, and I'll tidy them up off camera. And then the next colour I'm going to use is light brown, and I'll use this for skin colour on my Iraqi infantry. I just find it just works well. The using like a flesh colour can look doesn't look right, so I'll use this colour, that light brown. And there's some really good videos on, you know, Flames of War painting, and people that do amazing colours. An incredible job, you know, like, but yeah, unfortunately my skill set's just this sort of basic level, but that's cool. It's just take your time again. Another one of those take your time moments, isn't it? And the reason I just I don't mind doing a fairly basic painting style that's not too intense. Is they're going to get moved around on a gaming table. People are going to touch them. They're, at some stage they're going to get transported around, dropped, whatever. So that's that. Light brown, using it as a flesh colour. I'll just do these guys quickly. You sort of got the idea. They got their sleeves rolled up. So I'll just work my way around and I'll just keep going on them, touching them up, doing that same 4 colours, and I'll tidy them right up off screen, then we'll come back and look at doing the next phase for them. So thank you very much for watching. It's good to be back. Heaps more to come, so stay tuned. Thank you.